welcome back. Dr. John referred us to Madame Moonbeam, a current voodooienne, who can hopefully tell us more about current day practice of voodoo in New Orleans.
Dr. John tells me you're a voodoo practitioner of some kind.
Yes, I am a voodooienne, a voodoo priestess.
This game can't seem to decide whether it's pronounced voodooienne or voodooienne. I'm going for the former.
Do you get many people in here on an average day?
Some days the need for my power is greater than others. But I have many regular clients who would be lost without my vision, Mr. Knight.
I can imagine.
Yeah, sure.
That's a great-looking mask on the wall.
It's from Africa, a gift to me from Queen Tabitha.
And who is that? Anyone I should know?
Do you know Dr. John well?
Oh, yes, we are old friends. Those with gifts are often drawn together.
So, let's say I came to you wanting to attract a woman. Well, what would you advise?
Oh, I wouldn't think you'd have any trouble attracting women, Mr. Knight.
No. I guess I don't.
Well, I guess we might need some help with a particular woman. That is what you were talking about, isn't it, Gabriel?
So, what advice do you give your clients?
I tell them to follow the light, beware of the darkness, and always get expert spiritual advice from someone with the sight.
That's what I thought you'd say.
Generic bullshit, in other words.
Do you know Dr.
Oh,
Let's ask her some questions.
Should I ask you a few questions?
of course, Seeker.
And let's start with the logical topic of voodoo.
What can you tell me about voodoo?
My practice is mainly selling charms and potions with magic power, such as grigri and voodoo oils. You know, everything from unrequited love to wandering spouses to winning a lawsuit. But my spells and charms are powerful, and they work.
I'm sure.
What can you tell me about voodoo?
Much of a voodooienne's work is protecting her clients from the spell of others. I make special protective grigri to be worn in secret. They keep evil spells from working against my clients.
What can you tell me about voodoo?
The recipes for voodoo charms have been handed down from master to apprentice for centuries.
What can you tell me about voodoo?
I have told you all it is proper for you to know, Monsieur Knight.
Well, you weren't much help.
What do you know about the voodoo murders?
Why, that has nothing to do with me and my clientele. But I can tell you that you should stay as far from it as possible. There is badness there. Very bad.
Yeah, it sure takes a psychic to know that.
So you don't think the voodoo aspects of the case are fake?
Fake? Let me tell you about fake. If I get information through the grapevine and make use of it, is that fake? No. That is part of a voodooienne's power. If people don't believe, there is not much I can do. But if they do believe, that is a part of my power too. But there are things, monsieur, things not even a little bit fake, I can tell you. Believe it or not, but stay away from it.
Yeah, well, I might believe that there are some real voodoo things in this game anyway. Not so much in real life. But I do get the impression that you are not one of them. You're just a common charlatan by my first impression anyway.
What do you mean? Do you know something about the case?
I work hard on fine-tuning my spiritual antenna, Monsieur Knight. And I get a clear signal from that direction. Beware.
What do you mean?
I work...
Okay, well, let's see if she knows anything about New Orleans.
What can you tell me about New Orleans?
New Orleans is the center of voodoo practice in the United States.
What can you tell me about New Orleans?
It is a fascinating city with many dark secrets.
Actually, it occurs to me that I forgot to talk to Dr. John about most of the other subjects because I got distracted with the voodoo stuff. Oh well, we'll go back to him later.
What can you tell me about New Orleans?
It is my favorite place in the world.
What can you tell me about New Orleans?
It is my...
Not much then. Snakes, though, should be a more interesting topic, considering she has one.
Do you know anything about snakes?
Snakes? You mean like my beloved Grimwald? She's a python, you know. Quite deadly in the wrong hands. I was trained by one of the great voodoo queens to learn how to hypnotize and handle snakes.
Tell me more about snakes.
Oh, I wouldn't want to give away my trade secrets.
That's a big help. Well, we got a new option to talk about Grimwald.
What's the significance of St. John's Eve?
St. John's Eve? It is the greatest night of the voodoo year. There is always a traditional conclave on St. John's Eve. Most of our voodoo churches these days hold functions in the church hall. But in the old days, they had ceremonies out in the wild, and they wore animal masks and had a huge bonfire and dancing. I used to go when I was an apprentice, sometimes in the swamp, you know, Bayou St. John, sometimes at the lake, Lake Pontchartrain.
Interesting. We got another new topic, animal masks.
What's the significance of St. John's Eve?
Special ceremonies are performed, and the Loa come to ride the faithful.
What are Loa?
What's the significance of St. John's Eve?
There is no night more powerful to voodoo magic.
Actually, I know what Loa are. They're voodoo gods. It will get mentioned later.
What's the significance of St. John's Eve?
There is no night...
You wouldn't happen to know what Caprice Saint Corps means?
Do you have any idea what Caprice Saint Corps means?
No. No, I don't.
That's an interesting reaction. I have a feeling she does know, but does not want to tell us.
Do you have any idea what Caprice Saint Corps means? Do you know anything about Marie Laveau?
Oh, yes. She was the first of the great voodoo queens.
Do you know anything about Marie Laveau?
She ruled voodoo in New Orleans for 100 years, they say.
Do you know anything about Marie Laveau?
I'm sure a historian could help you with that, if you want to know more.
Well, Dr. John already told us quite a lot about that, so that's alright.
Tell me about the animal masks.
I saw them used once or twice when I was younger, but you don't see them much anymore. They are too close.
Too close to what?
Just bad karma.
What do you mean by that?
Tell me about the animal masks.
I don't know what else to say about that.
You know, we've seen an animal mask before. The crocodile mask in the Dixieland drugstore, so maybe we should go and ask Willie about that.
Have you ever heard the word Schottenjäger?
I don't know anything about that.
I guess not.
Tell me about yourself.
Yes? What would you like to hear?
How'd you get into this business?
I trained in the voodoo arts for many years with the great Queen Tabitha.
Really? Who's she?
You have never heard of her? For shame! I can see you know little of the world of magic.
I'm beginning to get that impression, yes. What kind of people come to see you?
Seekers after the truth, such as yourself.
Do you do anything else?
I am a voodooienne, and that is plenty. It takes much spiritual effort.
How many voodooiennes are there?
No one knows exactly. Many practice in secret. There are probably hundreds. But of course the level and the power of the voodooiennes differ greatly, depending on their training and natural gifts.
Tell me anything at all.
I haven't always lived in New Orleans. I came here from Kansas as a young woman.
So I guess you could say you're not in Kansas anymore.
Tell me anything at all.
I began studying voodoo more than 20 years ago. I am well versed in the magical art.
Tell me anything at all.
Many non-believers come to me. They are usually believers when they leave.
Right.
Tell me anything at all.
Dr. John sends me many seekers such as yourself.
Tell me anything at all.
I am happy here with my clientele and my snake.
Tell me anything at all.
I haven't always lived
I can't think of anything.
very well.
Let's ask about grigri first, actually.
Give me an example of a grigri.
All right. Here's an old one. Take a lodestone and some brimstone to a crossroads at midnight. Light the brimstone with a match, and a spirit will come and give you advice in gambling.
Those sound more like the spells from the King's Quest 6 spellbook.
Give me an example of a grigri.
Here's an old hoodoo Dr. Grigri. Place a dime under your client's tongue, and if the client is under a spell of any kind, the dime will turn black.
That one actually works, because the dime never turns black, because no one's ever actually under a spell.
Give me an example of a grigri.
To send someone away, take a rotten egg and write that person's name on it 9 times. You can also write on it where you want to send that person to. Take it and throw it against his door at midnight.
I think it might be more effective to throw it against him.
Give me an example of a grigri.
Here's a nasty one. To kill someone, get a sock or a shoe that belongs to that person. Put graveyard dirt in it and bury it under their front steps.
Does that work?
I don't know. I never tried it.
Give me an example of a grigri.
To ensure the safety of your child, cut a lock of its hair while it is still a baby and keep it with you. The child must have all its hair before it can die.
These are interesting.
They're very old. The grigri that I prepare is much more powerful, I can assure you, but I don't give out those secrets.
Of course not.
Give me an example of a grigri.
All right.
I think that's all of them. Now we'll have to ask her about Grimwald, her snake, in the next video.